Welcome back, Nicholas. This is Comic Corner Classic / Non-Classic. This is number 1192 and Doubleshot number 1086. 8 more to go to 1200. Alright, first up is pretty much the final trade for this character, though there's still other stuff to review this character. This is Hellboy in Hell, basically Hellboy Omnibus Volume 4. This collects the entire 10-issue series that is Hellboy in Hell, plus a couple short stories, the Magician Snake, and the Snake, and the Ashes of Vorsak. Now, Mike Mignola does the writing and artwork for this series. Now, the interesting thing when it came to this particular series, this was something that was coming out while I was reading Hellboy. Now, the thing with this series was that this series was released whenever Mike Mignola was ever finished with the book. Basically, he never felt like releasing it. Yeah, whenever he's finished with it, he'll release it. It never had a proper set schedule, per se. It just released 10 issues. And unlike previous books, which had their own numbering, basically anytime you have one mini-series featuring the character with a subtitle, that counted as part of this numbering. This series didn't. Nope, it never did. Do not know why, it just never did. Excuse me. Continuing from the last mini-series where Hellboy died. Yes, Hellboy died, and he's in hell. He meets various people now, some of whom he had previously fought before in other miniseries, and he basically tries to fight his way out of hell. He does get out of hell by the end of the miniseries, but there's no follow-up to this one. Well, he does show up in it. He does reappear. He does next appear in the issue of BPRD, where they actually find him. Yeah, they find him. And that's it. Yeah, interesting miniseries. Now, The Magician Snake and Ursa Vorks. Magician the Snake, that's actually a story by Mike Mignola and Kate Mignola. I think this might be his daughter, per se. It's an interesting story. It's interesting. It's a cool story. But in the case of Hellboy himself, this is the end of the Hellboy Omnibus books. Though, there is still one on this book. There's one collecting short stories. But this is also the shortest out of the 4 trades. Yeah, it's not that long. So, I'm going to give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. It's a damn good book. Yep. I do highly recommend checking out Hellboy. And those of you probably, I don't have any comments about it yet, you're probably thinking, why am I not much talk about this series like the other ones? Because I want people to check it out. Because it's so damn good. Hellboy is fantastic. And if you're a fan of the movies, I highly recommend checking it out. Alright, moving on to something that is a sequel. This is Spider-Man 2. This is a 5-issue miniseries written by Brian Michael Bendis and Sarah Patelli. Chronologically, this book takes place before the start of the post-Secret Wars book, the Spider-Man book by Bendis, the one he did, the last book, Spider-Man book he did before he left with DC. Because there's some stuff basically they kind of reference some stuff here, basically some imagery. So that's where it kind of takes place. This is a sequel to the original Spider-Man miniseries when Miles first met Peter. Miles is from the 1610 universe and he meets Peter 616. And this whole storyline is, who is the other Miles? The guy is a jerk. And apparently he's an old friend of Wilson Fisk of all people. Yes, and he also had a girlfriend named Barbara, just like Miles does, despite the fact that she actually breaks up with him to date Genki, and he ends up dating Bombshell. Though for some reason, the current writer forgets that and has back with Barbara for some reason. Yeah, I have no idea why the heck the writer did that for. He also apparently, I know my friend Tiffy was not very happy with this, the current writer retconned Miles' backstory. Yeah, he retconned it, where it's a different backstory now. Yeah, my friend Tiffy was not happy with that at all. I didn't have really big problem with it. I didn't like it per se. I didn't like the fact you had to give Miles new backstory just because Bendis left. I mean, come on. Bendis left, and you think it'd be a good idea to give this character a new backstory? Why? It was completely unnecessary. And this book also has the debut of a new Taskmaster, who looks nothing like the 616 Taskmaster. Is he from the old universe? No, not really. This is him. This is the Taskmaster. Though it's not Tony Masters, the guy who is the 616 one. He's not even the ultimate version of the character. He's just some other version of Taskmaster. And this is the other Miles Morales, a guy with scars on his face. Yeah. So they get a little bit of this character's backstory where he went to jail because he's actually doing a stunt filling for his brother's cousin. Wilson Fisk, basically, who works for Don Vercito, it's like, I'll get you out of here, no problem, just stick with me. Like, okay. He basically is very loyal to him. He's able to start his own restaurant. And, of course, meets with his own Barbara. It's a really interesting scene. And, of course, Miles and Peter have a fighting. Of course, Miles does meet Miles. And he says, "Hi, I'm Miles Morales." And he punches him. The other Miles does. And then he gets sent to a universe. And the other universe just happened to be... And this basically happened the final issue. Like, okay. He goes through our portal. He gets shot. Well, he shoots Miles. And he ends up in... Where does he end up? You can tell by the artwork, he's ended up in a new version of the Ultimate Universe. Because look, here's Ultimate Peter, alive and well. What? I thought he was dead. He got killed by Norman. And here is the Ultimates. Yep, it's definitely the Ultimate Universe because here is the Ultimates because you can tell because there's Ultimate Thor back with his hammer. Yeah, Jessica Drew, who is a clone to Peter Parker. We also see apparently there's a version of Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. Hulk's got a mohawk, and you also have Giant Man here. Yeah, Giant Man, the one from the Mark Millar run, who also was very abusive toward his smoking hot ex-wife, which they got back together with, which I thought was kind of weird. It's interesting ending to the series, but it does set up basically the current run for Miles. I gotta say, for a sequel to a very good miniseries, I've read it, but I haven't reviewed it yet. But this, of course, was good, though I didn't like the fact What Culture is not actually going to follow up this because they listed off, the original miniseries as these top 10. There was top 10 plot threads that basically are still unresolved. Yeah, it's been resolved here, and they've never done a follow-up to that video for some reason. I have no idea why. I think it's on What Culture Comics, I believe it is, that particular video. Yeah. But in the case of this particular miniseries, it's pretty interesting, this one. Not bad. It's good, but not great. Give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. Yeah. Ugh, my nose. Yeah, not much Russ Hellboy with this one. Though it was kind of weird to see the Ultimate Universe again, though Al Ewing teases in the pages of Ultimates toward the end of his run for Ultimates. Well, the 616 version of Ultimates. I'll eventually get to review Ultimates in the near future. The only thing I have reviewed for Ultimates is Ultimates 3. A really bad one. Oh yeah, and here's this thing. I heard this from David Finch. Apparently, despite the fact that Ultimate received very negative reception, Jeff Lowe apparently doesn't care. Yes, this is according to David Finch. He never cared the fact that he just basically got negative reception. He just did what he wanted to. He didn't freaking care. No one denying, David Finch did a fantastic job with the artwork, despite doing that awful scene where the Blob basically is seen eating the corpse of the Wasp. Yeah, that was disgusting. Even David Finch admitted, yeah, that was a bad idea. But he loved working on Ultimatum. But in the case of Loeb, he didn't care what people what people thought of the miniseries. He thought it was good. That's according to Jeff Loeb. Yeah, but that was supposed to be the end. Yeah, that's something else I'll take when I get a chance to review Ultimatum. But this, it's just good, not great. But I wonder what my friend Timmy basically what he thinks of this. I mean, I think probably the best thing about this miniseries is basically the partnership of Miles and Peter. I thought that was done really well. And basically, in the way, the final issue, even though, yes, it does kind of lead to something else with the Ultimate version, with new version of Miles, the 616 version, not the one from Transporter from 1610, it does kind of lead into the Spider-Man book by Bendis. The one started in 2015. Yeah, it does kind of lead into it because there's wreckage that basically see Peter Miles sitting on. Yeah. This book basically explains that. So that's the best way to describe this miniseries. It's a prequel to the Spider-Man book that Bendis did. A book that was, oh boy, this book. Basically, it felt as though that this is a book that it was one of 4 books Bendis was doing at that point, along with Jessica Jones. He was doing Defenders, and he was also doing Iron Man. His Iron book was fantastic, no denying that. So was Defenders and Jessica Jones. His Spider-Man book was by far his weakest book that he actually did for Marvel by the time he left. Yeah, it's interesting though the fact that of his 4 books, the book basically he got a ton of critical acclaim, and what practically launched his career at Marvel, and be his weakest book by the time he left. The book slowly got better toward the end of the run. Heck, probably one of the best things about that run was the fact Miles got to fight his own version of the Sinister Six, led by his formerly deceased uncle. Basically, the burglar. He was in the Ultiverse. He was the Prowler, though he somehow was found alive and became the Iron Spider. Heck, even Bendis basically couldn't bother to explain how the heck he's even alive, or how the heck that Miles' mother is alive. Yes. Also, the fact that Miles' mother and father basically are parents to another child. I think it's a girl. Yes, Miles is a big brother. That should be interesting for a potential character to, develop into let's say, a potential psychic character. Who knows? It depends upon what the current writer wants to do with that particular character. Okay, so that's it for single review. I might have 1 or 2 other videos to do today. One, of course, being another comic corner. The other, of course, being, One Piece. Okay? See you next video. Bye.